Welcome to episode 2 of April Anger 2026, your yearly Amiibo tournament scene. Our first match is going to be between Simon and Lucas. Looks like we're going to be on Animal Crossing. I believe this stage is called Smashville, which is a more accurate term than just calling it Animal Crossing. Lucas getting a couple of throws off to start. Simon tried to roll away. Did he just self-destruct? No, he didn't. He was able to make that back. Was a little close, though. If Lucas was able to pester him at all off stage, I don't think he would have made it. Simon, of course, being a character who has a very dangerous recovery. It works. Did he just edgeguard Lucas? Lucas just barely able to make it back. And Lucas may have... No, alright. These characters are just playing around off stage. I keep thinking that one of them is going to die, and then they keep coming back just barely. Clipping Simon at the end of the PK Thunder there. Lucas's version of PK Thunder is less damaging and less knockback inducing than Ness's version. One of the trade-offs is that Lucas's actually goes further than Ness's. Seems to be that the general consensus, though, is that Ness got the better trade out of that equation, specifically because he seems to get back to the ledge just fine anyway, which is a little unfortunate for Lucas. Aggressively air dodging at Simon instead of, I don't know, using a forward air, that probably would have been super effective. Getting a very charged forward smash there. Wasn't able to kill Simon, but it was across the stage and Simon was only at about 60%. Lucas trying to go for a spike, successfully grabbing the stage, getting ledge trumped. Lucas should be able to recover that. He actually gets... So Lucas's down air actually does have a spike in it. It's a multiple hitboxes, and I believe they all have their own spikes. The last hitbox, of course, being the strongest one. But even if you don't land the strongest hitbox, you will knock your opponent downwards. And sometimes even knocking them down just a little bit is still enough. Lucas doesn't seem to know how to deal with someone shielding on a platform. Simon goes very low, and he makes it back again. Lucas drifting off stage with that. He probably should have landed, actually, so he could have gotten a follow-up. Getting hit in the head with an axe. Always not a great thing to happen. Lucas just keeps using his double jump away to safety, and he landed the down tilt to forward smash conversion. He actually tried that multiple times earlier, and it just kept not working. I can only assume that Simon finally hit enough percentage for the combo to work. Although also with these amiibo, you never really know. Because usually when you see, and that's Simon's third stock already. And for this match, we're going to be having Sora against Charizard. Kid with a stick against a fire-breathing dragon. And Charizard immediately used Flare Blitz, taking some damage. He has actually given more damage to Sora since then, but that was a very immediate hard call-out, and it just didn't pan out for him. At least I suppose he didn't self-destruct off of it. Squirtle making it back to the stage. Sora is a character who's pretty good at edge guarding because he's so floaty. And of course having like a 3-hit mid-air... That move, yeah, I believe it's his forward air and neutral air that all have multiple hits to him. Charizard already looped through the Pokemon once. It's probably to his benefit right now. Since Sora has such a great recovery, the easiest way to kill him is to just kill him off the side of the screen. Because then he doesn't... And he got that kill. Way to go, Sora. But yeah, Sora is rather lightweight. Not as light as Squirtle, believe it or not. I mean, I guess that's not too hard to believe. Squirtle's very tiny. However, he is rather lightweight. And with his low ball speed, it's actually a little bit easier to kill him off of the top of the screen. But of course, killing him off the sides are still viable. It still works. You just need to make sure, because if you don't quite get him into the blast zone, he will be making it back to the stage. Charizard going for a spike, but he gets beaten out first. Goes for a dash attack against Sora. He was close enough, he probably could have gone for a better punish. Sora going high. Gets the down air sniped by an up air. Charizard still has some ground to make up if he wants to be beating Sora this match. It's not impossible. Up air, not quite enough to kill Charizard, as Ivysaur. Should be making that back just fine. Switches to Charizard just to be safe. Not the worst Flare Blitz, because it did get him back to stage safely. You don't have to worry about Sora's edge guarding. Going over him to skip the issue entirely. Sora lands a 3-hit combo, but it's not enough to kill. Only gets 2 hits at the side special. Interesting switch to Squirtle. Yep, that gets immediately killed. Although Sora hangs out too close to the respawn platform. Takes some easy damage for that. Charizard seems to really like switching between the Pokemon this round. Let's see how well it turns out for him. Forward air near the stage. Charizard makes it back. Sora not quite able to get the punish there. He does, however, get lucky with the down air. So he did get some damage on the board. And that's damage that just keeps ticking up, and that's damage Charizard doesn't want to be taking. Charizard, having just enough double jumps to make it back, goes for a Flare Blitz read that he does not get, and gets scooped off the side by Sora's recovery. It's a very vicious angle for that move to send. Sends you up and sideways. Alright, now we've got Ganondorf against Mii Gunner. So we're going to be on Kalos Pokemon League. Kalos, however you say it. Both seem to roll apart from each other at the start. It's almost like they're partaking in a duel, a gentleman's agreement, to be sure. Poorly executed up tilt, however, Ganondorf avoided getting punished for it. Now, this is a matchup you probably don't want to be seeing too much as Ganondorf, specifically because Mii Gunner is a character with a lot of projectiles, and Ganondorf is not the slowest character in terms of ground speed, but he's always one of the slowest characters in whatever game he's in, and combined with all of his other attributes, he normally has the hardest time closing the distance on various characters. Ganondorf does not have his double jump. That's going to be his death. Meanwhile, Mii Gunner having a whole bunch of projectiles means that Ganondorf is going to spend a lot of time running at Mii Gunner while avoiding those very same projectiles. The Ganondorf amiibo actually has it better than most real-life players, since the amiibos don't spam too much, and was that a footstool kill? Alright. Not how I expected Ganondorf to be taking a kill this match, but he got it anyway. Ganondorf making it back to the stage. You always have to wonder, especially with Mii Gunner's recovery shooting the fireball below you, if that hits you in the wrong direction, that can be an entire stock break. Ganondorf getting spiked. Ganondorf usually makes it midway through the tournament, but if he doesn't get some real good lucky hits in, he's probably not going to this year. Grabbing Mii Gunner out of the recovery with his own. Dealing some much appreciated extra damage. Goes for another up tilt though. That gets him a forward smash in retaliation. Gets Mii Gunner off stage. Mii Gunner's able to recover. Falling up air actually kills Mii Gunner off the side of the screen. Ganondorf's up air is a strong move, and it has a lot... Well, I'd say it's a lot of hitboxes. Ganondorf just got... Well, You probably saw what happened. It would take longer to explain it. But it looks like Ganondorf is going to be out of the tournament. Mii Gunner is going to be moving on. Alright, now we've got Mii Brawler against Steve. Going to be on Final Destination for this one. Large, wide, flat stage. Steve already using 2 anvils. He only has 1 iron remaining. And Mii Gunner, and that's actually the 3rd anvil. No iron remaining. If Mii Gunner keeps trying some of these combos, Steve's going to have a hard time, well, finding a way out of them. See right there, he can't use a down air. He actually somehow landed a falling up air. Steve's able to make that back. Mii Brawler actually tricks him out with a double jump. Steve having no time to mine in this matchup, it would appear. He does still have some resources, but he is quickly going to be running out of those. Especially if he keeps using them. Which I guess is how he would run out of them. Back air off of Steve's own block, taking his stock. That's got to be rough. Emotionally, I mean. Obviously, it's not super pleasant to happen to you in-game, but knowing that it is indirectly your own fault that you died to that. Both characters trading hits there, but Mii Brawler being at a higher percent gets knocked back a lot farther, gives Steve just a little extra time to mine. A very important aspect of Steve is that you do need to keep constantly be accruing resources. It actually means that usually Steve doesn't do as well in a free-for-all, simply because in a free-for-all there's less time to sit back and, well, effectively not fight for a minute. There are situations, of course, in a free-for-all where everyone could be ignoring you, but typically, for example, on stages this, if there's 4 people running around, there's less empty space to occupy. Also, since a lot of the time in tournament-level matches that Steve gets to mine is when he smacks away the opponent, and if there's 4 players, you can't smack them all away at once. Or if you can, it's incredibly difficult and doesn't happen often. Steve with an air dodge in. That was not the play. Mii Brawler gets hit with the world's most telegraphed anvil. It's practically Looney Tunes right now. You'd think that Steve's anvil would actually be more comedic, but I guess with the propensity of him to spam it, it kind of takes out a lot of the humor value of dropping an anvil on people's heads. Steve gets gold weapons. They come out faster, but they do break pretty quickly. Steve aggressively going in. Lays a TNT trap. It looks like Mii Brawler actually got hit by a sour spot of the explosion, which I can only assume it has, even though it's a little weird for an explosion to have a sour spot. Steve uses his Elytra up special right into the stage, plants his face in, gets kicked in the head, but he gets not a minecart kill, an anvil kill on Mii Brawler for it. Mii Brawler going for the kill shot, even though it was aimed the wrong way. Mii Brawler has strong smash attacks. I can only assume that at the ledge, angled towards the blast zone, forward smash actually could kill. At that percent, at least. It was at about 60 or 65% at the time, so that's feasible, but it might need some charging. Mii Brawler getting a great tech. He did bounce off of the block first, but it did get him in position in time fast enough to try to punish Steve. Steve gets a parry, but the sour hit of down air killed Steve off the side of the screen? Alright, well, I guess we'll take it. Alright, up next we've got Inkling against Zelda. Gonna be on Kalos Pokemon League again for this one. Zelda's normally a very projectile-heavy spamming character, Inkling, less so. Inkling does have projectiles that can be used in propensity. I bring this up because this stage has no middle platforms. It does have platforms on the side, but that makes catching landings and spamming projectiles just a bit more effective on this stage. At least when compared to the other tournament stages. Zelda falling into a very obvious up smash. Downward angled forward tilt, getting a spike after that too. Not typical Zelda behavior. Well, I guess some Zeldas do actually go for the spike, but typically I see them more spam the Phantom at the ledge to try to make it more difficult to get back up from the ledge. Usually that's called ledge trapping. Not that there isn't a blurred line between ledge trapping and edge guarding, because one is trying to stop the opponent from touching the ledge and one of them is trying to stop them from standing up on the stage. Especially since some characters can skip that entirely. Depending, of course, on how high they've been sent. Inkling having a hard time killing Zelda. Going for a forward smash, that would have killed but couldn't connect. Zelda isn't exactly making too much headway in the meantime. She is, to her credit, avoiding death. Alright, I guess that's not a kill move. 2 sweet spots in a row. Zelda still living at 150%. Air dodging to the ledge. Looks like Zelda grabbed the ledge first. Ledge trump not able to capitalize on the lack of invincibility. Inkling's forward throw doesn't seem to be doing the right knockback. That's the second time when Zelda's been at about 150% at the ledge. I don't usually believe Inkling's forward throw is an amazing kill throw, to be quite honest. However, a lot of characters, when they have someone who's not a heavyweight like Zelda, at 150% at the ledge, they usually have some sort of throw that will kill. Again, 150% kind of being the threshold for it. This throw isn't a kill throw, but it will finally do enough knockback to kill anyway. I might be confusing Inkling's forward throw with back throw. Inkling recharging on the top platform. Not much Zelda could have done with that. I guess she could have tried to throw a Din's Fire out at Inkling, but, well, recharging your ink is a little bit laggy. It's not that laggy that it would have been unavoidable. Phantom that I don't think could have hit Inkling, even if Inkling was trying specifically to get hit by it. Zelda not landing into the upwards smash. I'm so proud of these amiibo, they learn. Well, they don't, but sometimes you'd think they do. Sweet spot forward air, not quite enough to kill Inkling yet. If Inkling wants to stay in this tournament, she's got to, well, I guess stop getting hit by stuff. And pick up this kill on Zelda. Sweet spot near the ledge. That's going to seal her fate. Zelda's going to be moving on. Alright, now we've got Cloudy against Captain Falcon. Gonna be on Pokemon Stadium 2 for this one. Got two very aggressive characters here. A raw knee immediately on Cloudy. Wow, Captain Falcon's doing great all of a sudden. It's only been about 10 seconds, and he has a noticeable lead. Not that it can't be lost. Also, Cloud's almost built up a full limit gauge from taking all that damage so quick. Not that getting hit faster... Captain Falcon gets a footstool on Cloud, that I think that may have just saved his life. Cloud taking damage does charge up his limit gauge. Taking damage faster doesn't. In fact, he actually gets a little bit of limit over time, and also, as you can see, when he's dealing damage. So it sort of just passively generates, but it generates a lot faster when he charges. Cloud's not going to be able to make that back. Captain Falcon using it as an up smash. Turns out it's a very good up smash. It kind of stole from the book of Ganondorf Smash 4 smash attack, where once you actually threw it out, it was very difficult to punish. Now that Ganondorf has a giant sword in Smash Ultimate, that basically meant that they could just make Captain Falcon's up smash very difficult to punish. Basically, you have to be in a position to punish him whether or not he's using the up smash in order to punish him for it, because it just has such little end lag. Captain Falcon gets the tech there. Aside from saving his life, that's, well, first of all, impressive. These are computer opponents fighting each other, so it's not like I can give them accolades based off of their reaction time. But you can still see he's actually got a lot of mileage. He gets a forward air out of Cloud's up special. Cloudy once again falling victim to a symptom that seems to keep happening to Cloud players, where you get your limit at the exact moment you get hit by a kill shot. Just sort of a symptom of it building up as you take damage. It can be very difficult to time it properly. And since your opponent can hit you, they have a little bit of a say of when you get your limit as well. Cloud getting his recovery sniped, he did get limit at the perfect time to not die to that. It can be pretty hard to space his recovery so that it either snaps the ledge or doesn't go past it at least. Captain Falcon doesn't grab the ledge, he actually goes past it, gets hit by a back air for his trouble. Cloud actually spaced the up special pretty much perfectly there. Not much Captain Falcon could have done. Throwing out the limit break blade beam in order to cover his recovery there. It did hit and get a little bit of damage. Cloud orbiting around Captain Falcon. Goes a little bit high on the ledge. If that down tilt connected, I'm pretty sure he would have died. Gets a good spacing on that recovery though. Does he eat a forward smash? Again, Captain Falcon wasn't facing the ledge, so he was actually facing away, so he couldn't grab the ledge, or at least couldn't grab the ledge as fast. He actually got hit by Cloudy's get-up attack. Cloudy has a limit, uses it on Clam Hazard. Doesn't get a kill with it, though. It is at least damage. Cloud can make that back. Yes, he has a double jump. Barely makes it back to the ledge, actually. Gets the kill on Captain Falcon, but he needs to do it again. Charges up a little bit of his limit break. He's almost got the full meter, down tilt, killing him exactly as he gets the full meter. Poetic. Alright, for this match we're going to be having Young Link against Wolf. Going to be on Smashville for this one. Platform comes in. This is a hazards off rule set, so that platform won't be moving for the rest of the match. Also, it is a little interesting how they programmed it to move into place and stop instead of merely spawning at the right location. It gets to its arrival place pretty much right as the round starts, so it's not really a big deal in the slightest. In fact, I don't know of a single time it's ever been relevant. That was a pretty early kill. Wolf has some pretty strong smash attacks. He's able to scoop Link up, Young Link up with his double hitting up smash there. Wolf gets puts off stage. He actually goes for the up special to recover there. A little interesting. He probably should have gone for the side special simply because it's faster. You do have to watch out though. It makes you a little bit more vulnerable when you're grabbing the ledge. I believe some characters in particular can actually counter Wolf when he uses the side special because the delay between using the move and grabbing the ledge is significant enough. Especially since when you hit a counter, you actually get put in hit stop, which is basically the opposite of hit stun. You hit someone hard enough and both of your characters freeze for a little bit. Person who's getting hit is getting stunned. Person who's hitting it just gets stopped. and their move continues. Young Link going for the Young Link Classic, up special to up air. You'd be surprised how many people try to air dodge out of it, not realizing that Young Link's up air is, I'm pretty sure, about the same length as most characters' air dodges. I don't have analytics on that, but most characters have a pretty similarly length of duration for their air dodge, and the up air is pretty close to that. And even if it misses, the air dodge puts you in enough landing lag that Young Link can usually just land another up special and then repeat the cycle. Wolf falls way too fast, he's not able to grab the ledge. That actually puts Young Link back in the running. He needs to avoid getting hit by a couple extra smash attacks, which he didn't. He's alive for now. Wolf seems to understand that his win condition is now landing a single up smash. At this point, pretty much any smash attack will kill Young Link. Young Link able to make it back. Gets an edge guard on Wolf, who isn't able to make it back. 110% deficit. Young Link pulls it through. And for our last match of this episode, we're going to be having Jigglypuff against Meta Knight. So this is usually a pretty bad matchup for Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff being a very floaty character, a lot of jumps. Meta Knight being a rather floaty character, a lot of jumps, and a sword. Turns out that having a sword is usually a bit more... well, it's more useful in this matchup than being slightly floatier. Essentially, Meta Knight is 80% of what Jigglypuff is, and he has a blade. Especially since a lot of Jigglypuff's best kill options are edge guarding the opponent, putting him off stage, and just hitting him with all of her moves. She's so floaty she can stay airborne for longer than most opponents. Well, pretty much anyone else in the game, I'm pretty sure. Maybe there's someone with a technicality in there. But Jigglypuff is not offended at playing in the air. And she can actually use the weaker hits of a lot of her aerials to her advantage by just gimping the opponents off stage. However, Meta Knight is a character with 4 recovery specials. He didn't even use one there, he just air dodged back to the stage. All of his special moves do put him in special fall if you use them in the air, but that's a necessary counterbalance because otherwise Meta Knight would always make it back to the stage. Already he pretty much always does, but there is that discrete possibility that either Meta Knight overextends or more likely he forgets to count how many jumps he has. And then you can gimp him in that fashion. Being a lightweight character, it's usually easier to just kill him with knockback instead. So Jigglypuff's best kill avenues probably aren't going to be working here. Especially since Meta Knight also being a small round character about the size of Jigglypuff makes landing rest pretty hard, because there's less of a target to hit. Jigglypuff does have a couple of ways that can try to balance the tide. Namely, if you hit someone with a Sing, they're unconscious, and it's a lot easier to hit a sleeping target than an awake one. But still, you can see Jigglypuff's actually been struggling to land a kill so far. She might just need a random back air out of nowhere. Neutral air, it actually does come out pretty fast, and it can kill, not from there, from across the stage. And even then, you need to remember that Meta Knight's a lighter character. On a heavier character, that wouldn't have killed yet. Although on a character with less of a recovery, it probably would put him off stage. Did Meta Knight just neglect to use his up special to grab the ledge and not die? In fact, he neglected to use any of his specials. I'm pretty sure that death's entirely on him. Jigglypuff falling through the platform into a charged smash attack. It's not damage a character like Jigglypuff can afford to take. Being the second lightest character in the game, you die really fast. And also being so light that even if you trade with the opponent, you usually come out worse for it, simply because the damage is more influential on you than it is on them. Meta Knight chasing Jigglypuff to the reaches of the top of the screen. The shuttle loop getting I'd call it a little early but it's a strong move and that was pretty high up. It's an appropriate kill. Jigglypuff trying to outspace Meta Knight's sword with her feet. Not working out super well. One of Jigglypuff's perks is that her evasiveness allows her to pretty much choose where and when she's going to land on the stage. However, Meta Knight having, well, just so many jumps and enough aerial options means that he's able to cover a lot more than most other characters would be able to. For instance, right there, Jigglypuff actually tried to go above Meta Knight. As a Jigglypuff, that's usually not a bad idea to just go over your opponent's head instead of worrying about trying to grab the ledge, because you're floaty enough and fast enough in the air that you just can. A lot of characters don't get that privilege. Up smash barely not killing Meta Knight. Jigglypuff going for a very hard rest. Is she gonna get punished? She does get hit by a down smash, just barely. Taking that little bit extra damage. Jigglypuff not even landing on the ground before Meta Knight grabbed her. Up smash, just barely not killing. That usually means the next one will. And it's as the prophecy foretold. The next up smash killed Jigglypuff. She put up a better fight than I was actually expecting there at the end, but still wasn't enough. That's it for this episode. That means that we've now covered the left half of the bracket. Make sure to stay tuned for the next episodes when we'll be covering the right half of the bracket, and then we'll be moving on to round 2. Until then, though, bye.